let's do the quick revision what we studied in the last session. If you recall, I started with amplitude modulation, detection of the amplitude modulation. So we did square law demodulation, we also did envelope detector. So in square law it is as usual as what we saw in square law modulator. So in square law demodulator we take the AM signal, then we use a nonlinear device which we can build it by using diodes and all, and then we try to generate multiple frequencies of FC, 2FC, 3FC and so on, and by using a low pass filter we are able to demodulate the massive signal. Going further, then we did envelope detector. In envelope detector, the whole idea is to check, to track the envelope of this signal, envelope of the AM signal, and it is the one of the most simplest circuit diagram you might see. I also drew the circuit diagram. Then we talked about the discharging time constant of the capacitor. So that RC thing we talked about. What if it is too short? What if it is too long? If it is too short, what is the problem? If the discharging time is too high, so what will happen? You remember that how it will just go and slowly it will clip a lot of the masses signal, and that phenomena is known as diagonal clipping. So that is something we did in the last session. Then I also discussed a little bit about the importance of K. K, if you recall, it is known as amplitude sensitivity, and then we said that why K is so important in amplitude modulation, because K is helping you to normalize the modulation index, normalize the whole amplitude modulated signal so that you can demodulate it. If it is crossing the x-axis, the AM signal is crossing the x-axis, right? The massive signal is crossing the x-axis, then it becomes a problem, because that MT, if it is crossing the t-axis, then it crosses the 0, and then you get not MT, you actually get mod of MT. And I went into full details to explain why you are getting M of T, and I remember some of you also asked a lot of questions around it. Why we are getting modulus of M of T? Because the envelope detector is going to track the envelope of the AM signal. If the envelope of the AM signal is something like this, it will track something like this. If it is different, then it will track something different. So this is what we did in the last session. Today's class agenda would be that we'll also see that what is the last demodulation technique, that is synchronous detector. How do we use that to demodulate an AM signal? Second thing, what are the challenges around synchronous detector, and why we say that envelope detector is widely used. So we'll discuss about that, and then we'll do certain questions related to amplitude modulation and generation and demodulation, which I have already given as the part of the module, which are actually very good gate questions. So we'll attempt that. I guess I did some questions in the last session as well. So from there we'll pick it up. Once we are done with that, we'll go into the double sideband suppressed carrier. So why we are suppressing the carrier from AM and we are getting a double sideband, and what is the reason that motivates us to do that? Why AM is called power inefficient? Why AM is known as more like prone to the noise, means it is badly affected by noise. So all these things will come into the picture, and we'll also see how we generate double sideband, how to demodulate double sideband. If time permits, we also touch upon single sideband. So that is going to be the whole agenda of the today's session. So guys, synchronous detector. Why did we bring in synchronous detector? So the idea of synchronous detector is that we need synchronous detector so that we can also demodulate over-modulated AM signal. So when mu is greater than 1, you can't use square law demodulator and envelope detector. Because if you recall, I categorically said in the last session that we have to maintain mu less than 1 if you want to use square law demodulator and envelope detector as the demodulation technique. So synchronous detector is for that purpose. So let me just give the heading and make it structure. So chapter is 1, introduction and double sideband suppressed carrier. So we'll talk about single tone, multi-tone, bandwidth, power and all those things. I'm not writing all of it, just mentioning it. Okay. So guys, synchronous detector helps you to demodulate the over-modulated AM signal. When mu is greater than 1, you can use synchronous detector to do that. Second thing, how will you do it? That is the idea. So we do it very in a conventional manner. What we do, we multiply the same carrier signal of same frequency and phase at the receiver's end. And that is what the challenge comes here. That is the point where the challenge comes as well. When you're trying to get the same signal at the receiver's end as well, it's not that easy as I just said. It's not that easy that, okay, oh, wow, we can get that carrier signal like anything. We are not communicating in a room. I have told you so many times. We are trying to talk, we are trying to discuss these things in the practical consideration, where you are sitting in one location, you are transmitting signal to go to the other location, and there you are trying to generate the same carrier signal. But theoretically it looks very nice, but practically it has a lot of challenges, and that's the reason synchronous detector nobody uses. The most widely used detection technique is envelope detector. The given reason for this is that in synchronous detector, the circuit, the overall receiver structure is so complex and the circuit is so complex as compared to envelope detector. I drew the envelope detector circuit diagram, if you recall, in the last session. That was very simple and plain. You use certain diode, and if you use a capacitor and little bit of inductors, you are done. Means inductor for the filter part. So you are done. So if you compare envelope detector with synchronous detector, you will see right later that synchronous detector circuit is very complex, and that is why always keep in mind, for AM demodulation we always widely use envelope detector, not synchronous detector. So let me jot down those points so that you can also write. First point which I discussed, synchronous detector is capable of demodulating over-modulated signal, over-modulated AM signal. That is the first point, and here we call it as mu greater than 1. This is the case where the mu is greater than 1. Okay. Second point, it applies fundamental concept of demodulation, fundamental concept of demodulation What is the fundamental concept of demodulation? Which is multiplying carrier signal with received AM signal at RX. RX, guys, I have told you so many times, RX is receiver's end. So we multiply carrier signal with the we multiply AM signal with the carrier signal at the receiver's end. Okay. And how do you generate the same carrier signal? So the last point on this, right? Same carrier signal is generated. You know how to do that. It's generated using a local oscillator. And I have already discussed why we call local oscillator or local one, because that oscillator is at the receiver's end, and we are using that to generate the carrier signal. Okay. So this is like 3 points which you should know to generate the carrier signal at the receiver's end. So this is the, you can say, the opening comments on this synchronous detector. Now how the circuit would look like. So guys, circuit would look like something like this, that you have an AM signal. See, so this is you have received, you are getting this signal and feeding into a modulator. Generally we call it as demodulator because it is at the receiver end, but the job is same, to multiply. It multiplies the AM signal with the carrier signal, and you will multiply this with the carrier signal CT, and you are generating that using a local oscillator. Okay, so you are multiplying the AM signal with the carrier signal, and the output, it goes into a low pass filter, LFIL, and then you get M of T, massive signal. So this is at the receiver's end. Okay, let me write. This is at the receiver's end. You are doing all these activity at the receiver's end. Okay, clear? Let's do the calculation. Take the equations and let's do what these blocks are doing. So we'll take the AM signal, which is what? AC cos 2 pi FCT plus AC KA M of T cos 2 pi FCT, and we'll multiply this with the same carrier signal, AC cos 2 pi FCT. Clear? So guys, in case you have any question, any doubt, please feel free to ask. Okay? So if you multiply this, you will get what? AC square cos square 2 pi FCT plus AC square KA M of T cos square 2 pi FCT. So I've done nothing, I've just multiplied this term with here, this term there as well. Now you know that the formula of cos square theta is what? 1 plus cos 2 theta by 2. So it will give me what? So guys, in case you have forgotten, cos 2 theta is equal to 2 cos square theta minus 1. So cos square theta, we can write it as cos 2 theta plus 1 by 2. So this is the formula we are going to use. Okay. Now, so the first term we can write it as, this term we can write it as AC square 1 plus cos 4 pi FCT by 2 plus AC square KA M of T, this term, and it will be 1 plus cos 4 pi FCT by 2. Okay guys? Clear? Easy? So AC square KA MT cos square 2 pi FCT has become 1 plus cos 4 pi FCT by 2. Now, we know that the frequency we are talking here, is what? 2 FC, twice FC. And what is the frequency here guys? 2 FC. So we know that low pass filter has a cutoff frequency equal to, remember W, same W, message frequency W, it's the same W. So now guys, trust me, low pass filter is saying that I will not pass anything which is beyond W, and that is W is the message frequency, right? Let me write, W is the message frequency, because message is MT is band limited to W. This is a very fundamental way of saying that message has the maximum frequency equal to W. Just say it is band limited to W. Now, low pass filter has cutoff frequency equal to W, so it will not pass anything beyond W. So do you think that you will get this term? I don't think so. Do you think you will get this term? No. So actually you will get what? You will get output at low pass filter. It will be equal to AC square by 2 There's no problem because DC term has a frequency 0, it will pass, and you will also get AC square Ka m of t by 2. Now we know that any receiver in AM has a capacitor which will block the DC component. So right, since capacitor would block the DC component, so finally we'll get AC square by 2 Ka mt, and if you say K is equal to 2 by AC square, you will get massive signal. See the beauty. So K will do the job and you will get m of t. So finally guys, we have used synchronous detector to get the massive signal back. How is K is equal to 2 by AC square? See, it is my choice. I did it because we wanted m of t, but it is getting multiplied by some constant AC square by 2K. So we can put K some value. So we can say that okay, let's take K equal to 2 by AC square. Or suppose mt you are getting is twice mt, but you wanted mt. You can divide twice mt by 2 and you will get m of t. So it's nothing. Even if you get any constant multiplied to m of t, it's fine. But if you put this whole thing as 1, for that you have to put K equal to 2 by AC square. And then you get perfect massive signal m of t. Not any scaled version of it, not any boosted version of it. So I hope I answered your question. Got it? Very good. Now guys, so explain the first equation, sir, as I have faced little connectivity issue. Connectivity issue is something that you should fix, okay? Because we cannot go and explain every time the same thing. But let me do it. So you want me to explain the first part. See, the first part is nothing. If you see the diagram, which you can see back later, because it is anyway recorded session, you can always go back and watch these lectures. I have written that I am multiplying the AM signal with the carrier signal. So that's what I have done in the first equation. So I have just multiplied. Then I have used cos square curve function. Then I said low pass filter, which is at the receiver's end, right after the demodulator. It is going to use to eliminate all those frequencies which are more than W. That's why 2FC gone, and we are here. Okay. Next question by Sasi. Shashi Prakash is saying if the detectors are part of low pass filter. Actually, you are saying it reverse. Low pass filters are inbuilt filters in the receivers, or you can say in the detector. So that is another way around. Not like low pass filters part is detector. No. So actually, if you recall, you have a detector, or you can say in this case synchronous detector, and then have a low pass filter. The whole block, detector plus low pass filter, is your receiver. K is multiplier transmitter side. We know what would exactly the code is, just a multiplier at the receiver so that we can be flexible. I just mentioned that K. Why do we need K? We need K so that we can normalize the amplitude modulated signal, and in this case, even you can put K equal to 1 Bhanu Prakash, because see, it is even over modulated, doesn't matter, because it's synchronous detector. It is not using some envelope technique or something else. So you can even put K equal to 1. So let's not fight over the value of K. K has to be part of AM signal. But in that case, when you are using synchronous detector, I am saying you can also put K equal to 1. There is no issue. Then you have to use a multiplier, multiply by 2 by AC square. Then you have to do it separately. Clear? Okay, moving further, we said that okay, this is the synchronous detector and it is too powerful that it can even demodulate the over-modulated signal. But what is the problem with this synchronous detector? What are the challenges with that? Why detector not shown in BLD block diagram, you're saying? Okay, so the whole thing that we are multiplying, putting a low pass filter is detector itself. It's detector itself. The whole block diagram is the detector itself. I hope it answers your question. Okay, don't get so much confused on this. Do we have to remember final results to solve problem? I mean constant like k? No, Harsha. You don't need to remember the value of k because it is not required. When I will do question, you will understand what type of question gate is asking. So don't worry. You don't need to remember everything, but you should remember what is the function of each and every block. So what is the job of low pass filter? What is the job of demodulator? What is the job of ring modulator, balance modulator, right? What is the job of band pass filter, right? How you multiply a carrier with the AM signal. So basic things you remember. Nobody is going to ask direct question on a direct formula which I have given. Direct formula is just to have in your mind, but you should know that what are the different function blocks and what it does. Okay, if you remember that, we are good. And at the end of any question, you have to solve by yourself. So just know the concept. What is a double sideband, single sideband, AM signal looks like, and then you're good. There's no problem. Now let's move further. Now, what is the disadvantage? What is the disadvantage of synchronous detector? Let me tell you. What if the carrier signal is having a phase shift of phi? If there is a phase shift of phi, then what will happen? That is the problem we are going to discuss. So put the heading disadvantage of synchronous detector. Disadvantage of synchronous detector. So we said that if we have cos, AC cos 2 pi FCT, then we are good. But what if we don't get exactly AC cos 2 pi FCT? Actually, we get AC cos 2 pi FCT plus phi. Then what is the impact? So assume that a phase shift is existing between the carrier used at the transmitter and the carrier generated at the receiver. So what I'm saying that now you are not multiplying AC cos 2 pi FCT to the master signal. Here now you are not multiplying just AC cos 2 pi FCT to the AM signal. Actually you are multiplying with a phase shift of phi. Now guys, this phase shift is going to screw up the whole output. I will give you the idea. Now that's your homework. You can go and multiply, use a low pass filter, but in the interest of time, what I will do, I'll just directly write what is the output of low pass filter. So the output of low pass filter will give you AC square by 2 m of t. This is what you got. And I am writing in bracket, we take k equal to 1. So if you take k equal to 1, then you get AC square by 2 mt. But when there is a phase shift, so earlier you got AC square by 2 mt when you put k equal to 1. If you don't take the carrier signal without phase shift, if you have a phase shift of phi, which you can see here, then you will get another very important term, cos phi. Now if you keep this in mind, then you are not going to make any mistake. Then this cos phi is screwing up the whole output. I will explain why. this cos phi is extra, guys. That's what I'm highlighting. So if there is a phase shift of phi, you will not only get AC square by 2m of t, rather you will get AC square by 2m of t cos phi, and you can do it. That is up to you guys. I'm giving you as the homework. Please do the maths. Just like what we did earlier, you have to do like that. Once you do that, then you know that this phi can take different values. Now the condition, or you can say cases. So first case, what if phi is equal to 0 degree? Guys, if phi is equal to 0 degree, there is no phase shift and the output would be simple as you saw earlier, AC square by 2mt. Second, if phi equal to 90 degree, then your output is gone. You will get 0 because cos 90 is 0 and the whole output massive signal is vanished. So somebody said something to you, but you don't understand anything, you didn't hear even anything. And this is known as, right, this is known as, very important keyword guys, it is known as quadrature null effect. Quad means 90 degree, 0 output means null. This is the effect of phi equal to 90 degree. So this is the effect of 90 degree. That's why it's called quadrature null effect. Null means it's making the output 0, quadrature because of angle 90 degree. The third case, which can be also asked, what if phi is in between 0 degree and 90 degree? Then what will happen? Then your output will be less than AC square by 2 mt. So your output would be less than AC square by 2 m of t. Now, you are not getting the output as strong as what you sent at the receiver, transmitter side. You are getting a very faded or very weak signal at the output. And as a consequence of this, now, so I'm just repeating this case thought here. If phi is in between 0 degree and 90 degree, then output is less than AC square by 2 m of t. Right? Output is less than AC square by 2 m of t, means you're getting weak signal strength. Signal means here masses. And because of this, SNR ratio is also weak. It's not powerful. So signal power to noise power ratio is also very bad. And that's why it is also known as, you can understand something like that, your signal strength is too weak that sometimes your quality of the received signal, massive signal, is not that up to the mark. So if there is a phase shift, it's a big problem with respect to synchronous detector. And that is the reason it motivates us to go with envelope detector. I hope we are clear on this. Any question? What if there is slight frequency deviation in receiver oscillator frequency? Can this cause distortion? Frequency deviation will not be there. So let me give you a little idea about the practical thing. When a signal is getting transmitted in the channel free space, the parameter which gets really affected is not frequency. Frequency is, that's why FM, frequency modulation, is much more immune to noise. You might have heard a lot of time. What are the two things that actually get affected by the channel is the phase and in the amplitude. Amplitude and the phase are two parameters which get affected by the channel. Frequency doesn't change even a bit. If you are sending FC, you will get FC. That's why I have written FC 2 pi FCT plus phi, not frequency change is happening in this. Why it will happen? Just can you tell me why it will happen? Why there will be a frequency shift in the receiver oscillator? It will not happen. How does it happen? A frequency shift happens when you are multiplying that signal with some cos signal, right? You are only sending carrier signal. You are not sending some other signal with that, and you are multiplying at the receiver end the carrier signal. So there is no frequency shift is happening at the receiver oscillator. SNR is signal to noise ratio. So Shivam is right. SNR is signal power to noise power ratio, right somewhere. So we are going to use this keyword a lot of time. Signal power to noise power ratio. Okay. By signal strength do you mean power? Yes, that's correct, Manu. Why don't we multiply by 2 AC square cos phi so that we can back message signal again? See Tejas, it doesn't work like this. It doesn't work like this. First of all, when there will be a phase shift in the real time, it will happen. Let me take a practical example. Suppose you are tuning into radio, AM radio, right? AM station. Do you think that somebody will take in between what is the phase shift happening? Phase shift can go anywhere from 0 to 90 degree. So you will not be able to track in the real time because it is analog communication. It's happening real time. It's not digital that you are storing somewhere, then again changing and then again sending back to the people. So that's not happening. So it doesn't work like this. Okay. Any other question which I missed? You can re-ping. Okay. By signal strength, do you mean power? I already answered that question. Harsha, got it. Temperature variation can result frequency instability. Yes, to some extent, but that we are talking about too much of temperature variation. In general sense, it doesn't affect anything. Okay. You take practical example, right? In AM or FM, right? Do you really think that temperature is playing a big role? I can't say that. Those thermal noise is very less, so don't worry. Your question is, sir, envelope detector question, which condition we have to choose if both are given in the option? Don't worry, we'll take that question, and trust me, I know you're asking a gate question. Anyway, we're going to take that question. So guys, very good interaction. Good number of questions have been asked. I'm really happy to see that you are so engaged in the lecture. Chinmay, your question is coming, yeah, so don't worry. So guys, attempt question I'm displaying on the screen. Okay. So take this question, guys. EC 2004, okay, where we have been asked an AM signal is detected using an envelope detector. The carrier frequency and modulating signal frequency are 1 megahertz and 2 kilohertz respectively. An appropriate value for the time constant of the envelope detector is. It's a GATE 2004 2-marks question. Meanwhile, I will take your question. By phase, do you mean phase shift between message signal and carrier signal? When I say phase shift, it is between the carrier signal itself. So the carrier signal we sent was AC cos 2 pi FCT. So we are talking about the carrier signal, comparing carrier signal from transmitter and carrier signal generated at the receiver. So there is a phase shift, not message signal. In this question, guys, solution. Okay. So we know that the time constant RC should be less than 1 by Fm and it should be greater than 1 by Fc. This is the condition. Sometimes people also put equality here like this, but generally we don't put equality. Okay. So take this out if you have put it. Now what is Fc? Carrier frequency is given as how much, guys? 1 megahertz. Okay. And message frequency is given as 2 kilohertz. Means what? If I want to say, then I have to write the time constant, the charging time constant should be less than 1 by 2 into 10 to the power 3. This is in second. You want to get into microsecond, so it will be what? So guys, this is time constant, right? This is time constant, and this is 1 upon 2 into 10 to the power 3. So let me first write in second, and it will be 1 upon 1 into 10 to the power 6, right? So if you want to make it into microsecond, you have to divide by again 10 to the power 6. So it will become 10 to the power 6, right? The whole thing. Okay. And again you have to divide by 10 to the power 6. So finally, if I want to write, it will become what? 0.5 into 10 to the power minus 3. So you have to multiply with 10 to the power minus 3 and divide by 10 to the power, or just multiply 10 to the power 3 and divide by 10 to the power 3, and it is anyway 1 microsecond, and this is your RC. So this is 10 into 0.5 into 1000, so it will become how much? 500, and this 10 to the power minus 3 and this 10 to the power 3 will become again 10 to the power minus 3, so 10 to the power minus 6. So RC 1 microsecond, and this will become how much, guys? I am writing here RC less than 500 microseconds, more than 1 microsecond. So if you look at the option, guys, if you look at the option A says 500 microsecond, that is the upper bound. You cannot take 500 microsecond, indeed. Option B says 20 microsecond, option C says 0.2, option D says 1 microsecond. So this and this you can't use. What is in between? It is 20 microsecond. So answer is option B. Clear? Easy question. It is easy when you recall that envelope detector discharging time constant has certain condition. If you can't recall, this question would not have been done. Okay? Now, let's go to the another question. Okay, do question GATE EC 2008. GATE EC 2008. Consider the amplitude modulated signal AC cos omega CT plus 2 cos omega MT cos omega CT. For demodulating the signal using envelope detector, the minimum value of AC should be. You can clearly see that envelope detector is a hit thing here, right? Even GATE is too much liking the topic. They are asking a lot of questions, and we know why they are asking, because it is one of the most widely used detector. So what is the answer for that question? So let me have the question. So we are given with AC cos omega CT plus 2 cos omega MT into cos omega CT. Okay. So if we compare this, comparing this, okay, with AM signal, so you will write what? You will take common AC, so it will be 1 plus 2 cos omega MT divided by AC cos omega CT. Anyone has any problem? So I have taken AC common and cos omega CT common. So it is 1 plus 2 by AC cos omega MT. And we know that, so if you really want to use envelope detection, then this is like your mu. Mu should be less than 1. Means what? 2 by AC should be less than 1. Right? Because this is like your mu, modulation index. And you want to use envelope detection, then this thing 2 by AC should be less than 1. Then I can also write AC should be greater than 2. Right? If you want to find minimum value, you have to put equality. So you will write AC greater than equal to 2. So AC minimum you should have equal to 2. It's a good question, guys.